WrestleMania 6, one of the most forgettable shows of all time.
I can't do this anymore.
Just a WrestleMania built around one match and one match only. That is this. We are not even going to bother.
10 years in the making, people.
Yeah, 10 years in the making. I don't understand. But yeah, we're just going to run through this whole card pretty quick here because there's really nothing good on it other than the main event. There's nothing important on it. So we're just mostly going to talk about some of these 80s characters since we have time to. Okay, so Canadian National Anthem starts it off, because this was in Canada. So
Edge was there, I remember that.
Yeah, Edge did say he was there. And then we got Coco Beware, the jobber for life with his parrot. What did you think of him?
Frankie. He was alright. He was kind of comical. Back in the day.
Yeah, he had a music video with the other wrestlers, I remember, called Pile Driver, and he sings in it.
Oh.
And he's like, sometimes love, it feels like a pile driver.
That is true.
That is very true. Rick the Model Martel.
Who?
He's kind of like an early days Shawn Michaels kind of. He's pretty good in the ring, and he kind of had the whole sexy boy gimmick kind of thing going.
I don't care.
Colossal Connection versus Demolition. Demolition was just a rip-off of the Road Warriors.
Here comes the axe! Here comes the smash!
Yeah.
I can't do it.
They're just two fat guys with face paint.
What's it called? Rejected.
I'm sorry we're hardly talking about the matches. It's just none of them were memorable. We felt like we were watching a house show.
Just tell them the results, so the fans won't get bored.
I don't even got them written on here. Here, I got my phone right here, and I have the matches pulled up on here too.
We're just gonna tell you the matches. I can't do this anymore. I fell asleep, and it's like 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Demolition wins that one. Hercules versus Earthquake was up next.
Two big men.
Yeah, it was
just another big man match.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, it was alright.
And Earthquake would go on to team with Typhoon. You may know him as Tugboat.
Oh yeah. Tugboat.
Tugboat, one of the best theme songs in wrestling history.
Yep.
He's a phenomenal wrestler.
Yep, Tugboat.
He had the mic skills. He had the gimmick. The Tugboat gimmick was extremely over. Yeah, and he should have been world champion. He should have been the Hulk Hogan of that era.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Why did Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels get pushed? Why is Tugboat not like the end all be all of wrestling?
Racism.
Yeah, racism against boats and tugging. They don't like tugging. It was a very PG era.
Don't come.
Yeah. Speaking of, since this show is kind of Ultimate Warrior centric, there's a video on YouTube where they edit what Ultimate Warrior's talking about.
This is Tugboat's theme if you want to know.
Turn it up a bit.
This is loud, so go.
Look, show them the picture too. Tugboat, best in the world. Best in the world right there.
CM Punk versus Tugboat, Mania 31.
Yeah, totally, I'm calling it, and he is too.
Yep.
So that's that. We had Mr. Perfect versus Brutus Barber Beefcake.
I like both of them. That was a pretty good match.
This wasn't the one where he said the mama stuff. I think that's WrestleMania 7.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Big Boss Man was in that one.
Oh, jeez.
I like the Big Boss Man.
He's alright.
He's cool. I liked it better when his name was Big Bubba.
Big Bubba.
Oh, jeez.
What?
Oh. We get to the match, possibly, of the generation. Roddy Piper versus Bad News Brown.
Go Roddy.
Roddy Piper painted himself half black for this match
That's why I like Roddy.
Since Bad News Brown was mixed. He painted himself half black for this match.
Like down the middle?
Yeah, it was just silly.
I know, dude. Roddy, this is why I love Roddy. He's Scottish, so
he's just so controversial and crazy.
He's Scottish, so he has the green light to become racist.
And that's really the high point of this whole match. I don't remember much else about it. Yet again, the show put him to sleep. Double count out.
I hate that.
Heart Foundation versus Bolsheviks. Crappy match.
Never even heard of Bolsheviks until now.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get into it. If this was cooler, then they would have been called Team BS. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah. This episode sucks. I'm sorry, people.
I'm more of a fan of the Mensheviks.
Okay. I don't even know who that is, but whatever.
It's history. It's world history. But yeah, so Hart Foundation was there. Hitman would have better days. The Barbarian with Bobby the Brain Heenan versus Tito Santana before Bobby had a black hole in his face.
Tito, I like Tito. He's good.
Tito's cool. This was an
way better than Bruno. David.
Yeah, better than David. And this was nothing special, but that's pretty much how this whole card was. Let's start moving a bit faster. Macho King and Sensational Queen Sherry versus Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire.
Dusty Rhodes, fat slob, but he's so good.
Yeah, if this was just Macho Man versus Dusty Rhodes, it probably would have been a lot better. And that would have been a lot cooler. And it's sad to see that Macho Man is doing so crappy. Just a year after he main evented and had a fantastic match against Hulk Hogan. Yeah. Orient Express versus Rutgers. This was one of the better matches of the whole entire card. Probably second best only.
For a tag match, that's really good.
Yeah, second best only to
Hogan and Warrior.
Yeah, Hogan Warrior.
But yeah, we got time.
Dino Bravo with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, and the Earthquake versus Hacksaw. Hacksaw won this one, thank God. Hacksaw, another guy. I say Tugboat should have been reigning champ. This match, you guys want to talk about how Hogan and Warrior is such a big match and how it was the two top faces?
Wait. Did anybody have their way with Jim Neidhart this time?
Yeah, no, they didn't. That was not Jim Neidhart. It was Honky Tonk.
Yeah. Did anyone have their way with the manager? That's something I meant.
Oh, Jimmy, I don't even remember. But so yeah. Yeah, this is a terrible review. We're so sorry. Anyway, you want to talk about how Hogan and Ultimate Warrior was such a big babyface versus babyface encounter? How about having Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Tugboat?
That'd be way better.
That would be the sickest match ever. You could have it be a Kennel from Hell match.
I'm talking about the Tugboat from Hell match.
Yeah, it'd be a Tugboat from Hell match.
Okay, they would fight on a marina, then they would be thrown into a tugboat, then Tugboat would be inside the tugboat, just having his way with you, then they'd shoot a torpedo at you, and that would be your retirement.
Yeah, it's like a 3 stages of hell kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very good match. That would be definitely a highlight on this show if it happened.
Yeah.
Actually, this was probably one of the best matches of the whole show. $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase versus Jake the Snake Roberts. Solid work here. Ted DiBiase won by countout.
What's with all these stupid?
I know. What's with all these dusty finishes at the early WrestleManias? It's garbage. These shows back then were not anything special. I'm not gonna lie here. Wrestling was fine back then, but it was really crappily booked. A lot even worse booked than nowadays. If they had put out the stuff they did back then, nowadays the business would be in shambles. Imagine Hogan as Cena, where Cena just goes on a 3-year-long title reign. None of it would work. All these dusty finishes, I don't understand how anybody got over with all these finishes that were just stupid. Just garbage booking from beginning to end. You could say it's not of our era, but it just didn't withstand the test of time at all. Akeem with Slick versus the Big Boss Man. Big Bubba.
Slick. That bit is silly.
Remember when Big Boss Man became a SWAT officer?
Yeah.
And he came back?
Yeah, but besides that, who won that match was alright.
Yeah, that was Big Boss Man won with the Boss Man Slam, you know, like the Black Hole Slam. This thing, he does that. But he did it on a big guy, so that was cool. Big Boss Man, he was always a cool dude. He had an epic moment in the Attitude Era where he stole Big Show's dad's coffin, and Big Show started surfing on the coffin, and he fell off and did a flip.
Dude, that was the best moment in history.
That was one of the greatest moments in all of wrestling. Ravishing Rick Rude versus Jimmy Snuka. This was after Snuka. He was out of his prime by this point, and he was basically a jobber.
Yeah.
I don't know why Rick Rude needed a jobber. He was already pretty over.
Yeah, he was established at that point.
Yeah, he was very established. He didn't need it. And then we get to the only match that mattered on the entire card. One of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history. Look how I just perked up because this is a great match. One of the best ever. One of my favorite. This was my first favorite match. Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior.
10 years in the making. Explain that.
I don't even know what that means, but Warrior with the Intercontinental title, Hulk Hogan with the World title. Both belts are on the line. They had their first confrontation at the Royal Rumble that year. They stared each other down and ran the ropes and did the double clothesline.
Back in the day. Remember when belts actually mattered?
Yeah.
Especially Intercontinental.
Warrior was a huge deal. He had won the belt from Honky Tonk Man. He came out there and just mowed right through Honky Tonk in like 30 seconds, and Honky Tonk Man was the longest reigning champion in history, and Warrior dethroned him. Warrior was a huge deal. Hulk Hogan himself was a huge deal. He defeated Macho Man Randy Savage the year before to win back the belt. That was his second title reign, and he was still a huge deal at the time, but things were starting to not look good because people were starting to get bored of Hogan, and they needed something new, so they had Warrior come up. And Warrior was a very crazy character. Talk about Warrior's insane gimmick.
He's from parts unknown. He's just crackhead.
He runs to the ring.
Well, not crackhead, but you know, he's
adrenaline music.
Adrenaline, yeah.
He
just like sprints to the ramp and just has his weight with the ropes like this.
Yeah, he swings. I'm not sure if he was the one who swung the title around. No, he swung the chain around at one of the WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was. Whatever, you've seen it before.
Yeah, so it was years in the making. Both of these guys rising up, Warrior at a slower pace. The match itself was pretty good. You saw shades of a heel Hogan in there doing some stuff. I think Warrior kicked out of a leg drop at one point.
Which was amazing back then.
Yeah, kicking out of finishers wasn't a thing back then, so that was really awesome. There were matches that wouldn't even end in finishers. There were matches that wouldn't even end.
Yes.
They would fall out of the ring and it'd be over.
Then all hell would break loose.
Yeah, because it'd be a double count out or a disqualification.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, matches ending with finishers was a cool deal, and there was never such thing as kickouts of finishers back then, unless it was Hogan kicking out of somebody's finisher. Nobody ever kicked out of the leg drop before this thing. Ever, yeah. Just a great moment there. And then they had the infamous finish where Warrior Hogan went for the leg drop, Warrior moved out of the way, and then he hit his finisher on
Gorilla
Hogan.
press.
Yeah.
Gorilla drop, yeah, that's what I meant, yeah.
And then you had the awesome moment post-match, Hogan kind of sitting on the outside, you could tell he's shocked that he lost and stuff, and then he enters the ring, you know,
like
Warrior, and he passes the belt off to him and they celebrate together. Great moment, great main event, one of the best main events in WrestleMania history. Kind of was the only really memorable thing on this show.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to give this out of 10?
4. Because only one match really mattered, you know what I mean?
I'm going to give it a 4 too, so, yeah, peace out guys, pathetic show.